Hi everybody, this is my first ever video. I've wanted to do this for so long that I can't even speak. That's how excited I am to be here. My name is Romina. This is hopefully my channel. I'm naming it Reading in a Haze. It just came to me one day when we were driving and I was like, I really want to do this and I want to name it that. A few weeks ago, a lot of things went wrong in my life, and I figured that if I waited for the right time to do this, I will never do it because there's no right time. So here I am doing it now. I'm so excited. If you're here, thank you so much. I hope you like my videos and I hope you stick around and follow me. I'm going to talk about myself for a very small amount of time. I kept thinking about the best way to introduce myself and my reading taste. I figured that the best way for you to know what my reading taste is and what I like is to show you my 5-star reads. And I'm doing that. I'm tier ranking my 5-star reads in this video. About myself, as I said, my name is Romina. I'm not American. I'm not European. I've never lived in America or Europe. English is not my first language, so if I make any grammatical or any cultural mistakes, forgive me and please let me know so I can learn and never repeat them again. I'm going to try not to make any mistakes, but I'm human and it's going to happen, and I will appreciate it if you let me know and if you give me another chance to make it up to you. I just wanted to say that before we get any further. I think that's all I need to say. Oh, I'm going to tell you how my reading journey began. I started reading tiny children books when I was 4. I mean, they were mostly picture books, so they were not really that much reading. When I started really reading books, I was in 2nd grade. We were coming back from school and we went into this bookshop for me to buy a pencil sharpener. I vividly remember that while my mom was paying for the pencil sharpener, I saw this bound version of a book series called Secrets of Dune. It was the bound version of the first 4 books. It's a 44 book series. I had a fight with my mom because she was like, you can't read books yet, you need to go to school and do your homework. And I was like, Mom, please, please, please buy me this book. She did. And I read it in a few days and I kept going back to the bookshop to get the next installment. And that's where I started reading. I never really stopped. I read fantasy books when I was in that age. I kept reading fantasy. Another favorite series of mine was the Septimus Hip series. It's here, actually, I have it still. I was never a Harry Potter girl, and right now I'm very happy that I was not, because back then I had no idea who J.K. Rowling was, but Harry Potter was never a really big thing in my country when I was a child, so I've never read that book series, and I'm glad I didn't because of her action, as we all know. And after the fantasy phase, when I was 11, I got into romance. I was definitely too young to be reading all the things that I was reading. My parents were not aware. Sorry to both of them. I kept reading romance books on my phone under the blankets when I was supposedly asleep. And after that, when I was 14, I think I was 14 or 15, is when I got introduced to BookTok and Booktube. That's when my English got so much better that I could actually read books in English and not translated ones. So I got introduced to Booktube and I started reading Six of Crows. That was my introduction into English books, and I got back into fantasy, and now I read fantasy books. I love mystery thrillers, and I also read romance books. So I basically read a little bit of every genre. I think the only genre that I don't really read from is horror. Horror was never my genre. I don't really watch scary movies, and I don't really read horror either. It's not because it makes me scared, it's because I'm so aware of the fact that I'm supposed to get creeped out and scared that I keep laughing at it. So I don't know, it doesn't work. It's like when you tickle yourself and it doesn't really make you laugh. I don't know where that example came from, but here you go. So I'm going to get into tier ranking my 5-star reads now. If you stick around, thank you so much. I hope to see you through the rest of this video and the next one. Grab a drink. I have my water here. I usually drink so much coffee, but today I had my coffee and I was like, I'm going to speak for a long time and caffeine makes me trip over myself, so I'm going to drink water. Let's go. I'm going to minimize myself so you can see it better, and let's go. This is my tier ranking list. At the top tier we have Can You Feel My Heart as Bring Me the Horizon when set. The second tier is 4.5 stars, which is for the books that were not quite 5 stars, but they made me feel so good that I put it in 5 stars, but they're actually 4.5 stars. The next tier is Good While It Lasted. These are the one that I remember loving, but I don't remember why. I remember the feeling I had when I read them and rated them, but I don't really remember any of the plot or the characters or why I actually rated that. The next tier is I Needed Help, which I did a lot of the times. And the last one is Who Was She? Which is clear. Who was she? Because it wasn't me. Not me. Sorry. Okay, let's start with the books. So the first book I have here is What the Wind Knows by Amy Harmon. I read this book last year. This was on my favorite books of the last year list. This was the perfect type of historical fiction for me. It has a little touch of magical realism. The writing is so beautiful and touching, and I can still remember being in Ireland and going through all the historical things that this character went through. I'm going to put it in Can You Feel My Heart? The next one is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I read this one a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. I wasn't really a big Emily Henry fan until this year. I have read Beach Read and People We Met on Vacation before, and even though I've loved Beach Read and I'm sure it's somewhere down here, it was never my really favorite. It was just a good book. Happy Place is not many people's favorite Emily Henry book, but it is mine. The main character, Harriet, is me in a book. Everything she loves is all the things that I love, and the struggles that she has are exactly the type of struggles that I have. In this book, she's dealing with a sort of breakup that she had with her ex, and the kind of breakup that they had is exactly the kind that I experienced 1 year ago, and it actually kind of healed me in some way that I can't explain. So again, Can You Feel My Heart? Because if not this one, which one? The next one is The Vanishing Stair. This is the second book in the Truly Devious series. This is one of the first English book series that I read. And to this day, it was a very great experience that I have never had again. I know I've read many great book series after this one, but the thrilling feeling and the atmosphere of that school has yet to be replaced. But it wasn't really that deep, so I'm going to put it in 4.5 stars. I can't really give it less than that, so it was good. Let me find the next book in this series. The third book is The Hand on the Wall. This one was the conclusion to the series, or at least it was the trilogy. It actually kept going on and the mystery changed, but this is the conclusion of that mystery that we had. I remember loving it because of the way it closed the mystery, and the relationship that is in there. I'm going to put this one also in 4.5 stars. Let's move on to the next book. We have Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. I don't really remember this book. I remember the plot twist. This was the first time I read this type of plot twist. After this book, I read many other books that had this type of twist, and I was never shocked because of this book, but I don't really remember anything about the plot, so I'm going to put it in Good While It Lasted. The next book is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This was the first Alice Oseman book I read. I read it translated, and it was not a very good translation because in my country queer relationships are banned and they're actually punished very harshly. This book was translated and censored in a horrific way, and it actually tainted my experience of it. Later on I read it in the original format and it was good. I really liked it, but that experience was ruined for me. So I guess Good While It Lasted. We have Good Girl Bad Blood, and I can see that A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is also here, so I'm going to start with that one. I really like Holly Jackson. I think she writes thrillers in a very unique way that other people don't. I don't mean the writing, I mean the plot. She always finds a very special and unique kind of premise and builds her story around that. Right now, after reading so many other thrillers, I don't really find this one that unique and that exciting. So Good While It Lasted, but it was good for starting reading thrillers, and especially young adult thrillers. It's a very good book, and I'm going to put the second book right next to this one. I like this one a little bit more than the first book, but as you can see, the last book is not here. I didn't really enjoy the way she grew the series. I don't think it should have been the direction that it went. It was her choice and I respect that, but I really didn't enjoy it. The next book I have here is One by One by Ruth Bear. Ruth Bear is a very hit or miss author for me. If I like her book, I love her book. If I don't, I really hate it. One by One is one of the ones that actually worked for me. They are snowed in a cabin. Some of them know each other, and two of them are hosts that don't really know the guests that are there. It's basically and then the nun type of story, and I really enjoy that type of story. And this was very good. Who's she? Why do I have a woman's picture in the middle of all my 5-star reads? Who are you? Ignore her. I'm going to put it. What? Oh, I see what I've done wrong. We'll get to that one when we get to that one. I've made a mistake, but I don't really think I can fix it right now. I was putting, as I said, One by One. I'm going to put it in 4.5 stars. And this one, They Both Die at the End. I read this one also translated. This was before my Booktube and fantasy era. I was very young. I read it translated and censored. So in my version of the book, they were just friends. And later on, I realized that, oh my god, that's not the book. I think I was too young, and who was she? Because if I read this one now, I don't think I would love it close enough to 5 stars. Another Ruth Bear, The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I can't remember this one at all. I remember some parts of it. I remember one of the plot twists, but I don't really remember it at all. And I don't think I would have liked it now. I really don't. Jane Eyre. I have 2 versions of this book here. This is the Persian one, the translated Persian version. Persian version, that rhymed. Yeah, this is the Persian version. And I have where is it? Here. An English version of it right next to me. This is one of my favorite classics. My favorite classic is Wuthering Heights, but I don't think that one is here because I have always given it 4 stars. I do know that I have some problems with it, but I've loved it for so long that it's always going to be on my favorite books ever. It's just not 5 stars. But Jane Eyre was perfection. The plot was amazing. The writing was fabulous. And the character was... I love Jane Eyre. I don't know how to talk about her. I see her as a very true feminist. And I love that about her. Jane Eyre is going to go to Can You Feel My Heart? There we go. This one is Captive Queen by Alison Weir. And we have 2 Alison Weir books back to back. Captive Queen is the first book I read by Alison Weir, and that's where I realized that I like historical fiction. I read this book in school. My teacher was explaining biology to us, and I was reading Captive Queen under my desk. I remember her walking by, and my friend was shoving the book underneath my desk so that she wouldn't see what I was doing. It was a very interesting experience, and I fell in love with this genre then and with her writing. She has a very interesting way of telling history and making it feel like just fiction and not boring at all, and I love that one. But I'm going to put it in 4.5 stars because this one is nothing compared to The Lady Elizabeth that will go to Can You Feel My Heart. I think about Elizabeth almost every day, okay? So I learned so much as a 12-year-old from her. She was my role model for a very long time. I'm sure there should be another Alison Weir book here because there is another historical character she wrote about, and that one I love more. Innocent Traitor. This one is about Lady Jane Grey. And Lady Jane Grey was such a different character. I read this one exactly after I read The Lady Elizabeth. I first knew Jane through Elizabeth, and she saw her as a very naive, not intelligent enough girl that she would rather die than act like somebody who was immersed in politics and knew when to lie and how to lie. I didn't really grasp her character through Elizabeth. Then when I read her book, I realized that she was not naive, and it wasn't that she couldn't lie. It was that she didn't want to lie. She believed that her purpose was to follow the truth that she believed in, and she was ready to die for what she believed in, and she did. It was not her naivete, it was her bravery, and it was because she thought dying for what she believed in was way better than living and lying about it. So I really love her, and I really respect her and her goal. Oh my god. I can't believe we're going to go from that to Little Stranger by Lee Rivers. I can't believe I gave this book 5 stars. Why? What? I could put this one in Who Was She, but I'm going to put it in I Needed Help because I read this book while we were getting bombed on. As you might remember, you may not remember if you're lucky enough to be far away from Middle East news, but Israel attacked Iran for 12 days, and we had something called the 12-day war. I was in Tehran in that 12 days, and bombs were going off every second of every day. We heard explosions, so we couldn't focus on anything, and we didn't know it was going to end soon or ever. So it was a very, very hard experience that I think I will carry with me every day of my life. I'm still struggling with every loud noise that I hear on the daily basis. And I read this book during that time. I think it was 10 days after the war had started, and I realized that I was in such a deep depression and anxiety that if I didn't get myself out of it, somehow find something normal to do, I was going to, if not die from the bombs, die from anxiety and my mental struggles. So I read this book, and apparently I gave it 5 stars. I just needed help. I needed help. That's all I can say. The next book is The Favorites by Elaine Fargo. This is a total Wuthering Heights retelling. As I told you, Wuthering Heights is my favorite classic. This was a very good retelling. I think a lot of people love Wuthering Heights for different reasons. Each person sees it through a different lens. I've talked to many people that love this book as much as I do, but see a very totally different point of view. This book saw that love story, toxic love story, exactly like I did, and I felt like this is a book I could have written about that book. It was a perfect retelling. It was annoying at times, but it was so good. I'm not going to put it in Can You Feel My Heart because it wasn't that touching. It was just 4.5 stars. Next one, Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. This one is also another Wuthering Heights retelling. It's just not that heavy-handed. It's not like a retelling. You can read it without even drawing a connection to Wuthering Heights, but if you see it, you see it. And the writing of this book was beautiful. There are some quotes in here that actually gave me chills. I really love this book. I think this is going to be one of my favorites of the year. We'll see. But I'm going to put it in Can You Feel My Heart? I just realized Can You Hear My Heart without a T? Again, English is not my first language, and apparently I'm not really good at typing English. Forgive me. I can't believe how didn't I see it after putting six books in it? God, sorry. A Certain Hunger by Chelsea Summers. I'm going to say something, I just don't know if I should. So this book is, as we all know, about cannibalism. But it made me so hungry. Not for that reasons, but because of the fact that she was a food critic and she talked about food, any type of food, not just Jesus. She talked about food in a way that made you see food as art. It was a very artistic way of talking about food, and it made me want to test every single dish that she was talking about. I love the main character, even though she is even with that, she's a very interesting character to talk to. She's going to break your heart, and she will not say sorry because she is who she is. Does it have my heart? Wouldn't it be ironic if I put this book with this cover in Can You Feel My Heart, since she has a heart in her hand? I'm going to put it there, even if just for that. There we go. The next one is Caliban's War. This is the second book in the Expanse series. It's one of the most famous sci-fi series of all time. There's actually a TV adaptation. Hold on. I read the first book, I think, 2 years ago. I have left this series for when I am really craving a very deep and strong sci-fi book or series. I don't really read it regularly. I just wait until I'm craving it and then I will read it. I read this in a very, very right time. There is a political character in here that is immersed in politics, and she made me look at politics through a different lens. Since I live in Iran, everything in this country is political. People are always talking about politics. We're always worried and scared. So I have always had a very steady political view, and I've never looked at it through other lenses, and this made me think like a politician, which I didn't really enjoy, but it was very enlightening. It's a very, very amazing book, but I don't think I can give it Can You Feel My Heart because it's not very emotional. So I'm gonna put it in 4.5 stars, even though I will give it 5 stars every time. A Whisper of Solace. Okay, when I read this book, I loved it very much. I do remember that one of the characters reminded me of me, and the main character reminded me of my ex. And I remember loving it when I was reading it. I thought it would stick with me for a very long time, but it kind of didn't. Right now I'm looking at this cover and I remember the plot. I do. I remember the plot. I remember the characters. I remember that it had very great therapy scenes, and it was really pro therapy. As someone who appreciates therapy, I love that. I thought it would be a very touching book for me and it will stick with me, but it didn't. So I'm going to put it in 4.5 stars. What the Woods Took. This book I started reading just for the thriller part and for the mystery of it. I thought it would be a basic 3-star YA thriller mystery that I would like and I would move on, but I loved it so much. The main character, Devin, is really my type. I don't know, I think I didn't say that. I'm queer myself, I'm bisexual, and I have a very distinct kind of type in women, and Devin is it. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because she's young. She's 17, so I'm not going to focus on that, but she was great, and her relationship with Sheridan was one of the best queer relationship I've read. I still remember the quote, "What the Woods took, Sheridan gave back." And I remember crying when reading that quote. And I loved it. The 7 Year Slip. I read this one again this year because so many people loved it. When I was reading it, it had my whole heart to itself. But I think it has seems kind of lessened. I think it was affecting me so much when I was reading it because I read it in one day and I was very sad while reading it, and it gave me hope. I did buy the book, which is weird for me because I live again in Iran and we don't have original English books. I usually read ebooks and I don't really buy physical copies. If I want a physical copy of a book, I have to order it and they will give it to me in a few weeks. So I usually don't do it. But I did with this one, and I remember wanting to reread it, so I'm going to put it in Can You Feel My Heart? That feels right. Next one, Set the Record Straight. This is a very nice sapphic Christmas novella. I was in a very Christmassy mood this year, even though we don't really celebrate Christmas in my country because my country is not Christian and we don't have Christmas, but I love the Christmas time and watching people decorate their Christmas trees and stuff, and I really wanted that vibe. I wanted in my life, so I read a lot of Christmas books. This one was one of the best one. Again, it was sapphic and I always appreciate a sapphic book, but it wasn't really that special. It's still 5 stars, but it wasn't that special. It was just fun. Why do I have another What the Wind Knows book? I'm going to put it at the bottom of the list and not rank this. This is the only one left by Riley Sager. This is my second ever Riley Sager book. I wasn't really sure I was going to like it. I liked the first book, I just didn't really love it that much. But this one was great. It was very thrilling. The plot twists came one after another and I loved the final plot twist. It was actually shocking and interesting. I love that. I can't put it in Can You Feel My Heart because again, thrillers are never really that emotional that can have my heart. I just had a very good time with it. This one is Bone. This is a poetry collection written by a Black woman, I think. From what I remember, it's written by a Black author. She had very interesting things to say about being queer and being so hurt that you see yourself as a problem and as a toxic person that has to let go of anybody that she loves in order to not hurt them. And again, I've been in a relationship like that. I got it and I loved it. I don't think it has my heart. I'm gonna put it in 4.5 stars. Yeah. All the Missing Pieces by Catherine Cowles. Again, when I read this one, I was so shocked because I read it as just a thriller. I didn't think I would love the relationship or characters in it that much, but I did. When I finished it, I thought it was one of the best books I read this year. Granted, I read it in January, maybe February. I thought it would hold against time. It didn't. I remember nothing. When I say I remember nothing, I mean, why isn't it coming? Yeah, there. I remember nothing. None of the plots. I remember they're in a small town. I remember the cafe, but that's it. So, good while it lasted. It didn't last long. Next, this is the one that I was like, why is there a woman on my board? I accidentally copied a picture that's with the author or the narrator. I can't really see. This is Still Can Play by Ali Hazelwood. This was the first Ali Hazelwood I listened to after the Christmas one. As I said, I was in a very Christmassy phase. I'm not sure why I gave this one 5 stars. It was good, it was fun, but it wasn't really a 5-star book. I'm gonna put it in I Need Help because I think I was really sad and this one made me feel better. And then we have the reappearance of Rachel Price by again Holly Jackson. As I said, Holly Jackson has very unique premises. I always read the synopsis and I'm like, oh, wow, I wish I had think of that. So she writes very great thrillers. This one has a very interesting plot. I love the main character. She is so mean, but such a lovely character. You can understand everything that she says and everything that she goes through. There is a plot twist in this that I was gagged. I literally sat up. That's how shocked I was. Next one is Lights Out by Nevissa Allen. I'm not really into dark romance. I don't really read dark romance. Maybe I should start. I want to start. I read this one because I heard some audio clips of it and it sounded really fun. I have never laughed out loud in a book more than this one. It wasn't really a very 5-star worthy book, but it was extremely fun. So I'm going to put it in. Where am I going to put it? Good while it lasted, because I think I had the most fun while reading it and afterwards I just forgot about it. So that's where I'm going to put it. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. This is basically memoir written as a fiction book. It's not really a memoir style. The writing is very special and unique. I've never read anything like it. This is a domestic abuse in a sapphic and queer relationship. We don't really have that, so that's very important to talk about because people really think that's not possible to have domestic abuse in a queer relationship. I'm gonna put it in 4.5 stars. Evocations by Esther Gibson. This has a poly relationship. I think this is the first time I've read a poly book, or at least a poly fantasy. I read Why Choose, but I've never really read a poly romance. The poly relationship was really great. I think the plot was interesting. I should really read the second book. It's out now and it's on my list. It doesn't really have my heart, so not Can You Feel My Heart, but 4.5 stars. Oh god, Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is the second book from the 5th season. The trilogy is called The Broken Earth. This is one of the most unique and confusing trilogies I've ever read. The writing is very, very special. It's a very unique kind of writing. It had a second person POV, and the plot just kept blowing my mind with every page that I turned. I was so confused and so interested into this plot. To this day, I can't really tell you what happened in this book. Maybe I was not smart enough for it, or maybe English being my second language made it more difficult for me, but it was amazing. It doesn't have my heart, but 4.5 stars. Beartown. Nobody, oh, why isn't it coming? Come on. Oh yeah, here. Nobody writes like Frederick Backman. It's not like flowery writing, it's just he writes in a very touching way. And I know it's translated, so the translator must be very talented too. But his stories are so mundane, it's like you can see it happening next door. But it still touches you in a way that you can't really explain. Next one is, okay, they're all next to each other, so that's good. These are Harper Bliss books. And these are all in a universe, in a Hollywood style of books. They're all screenwriters or actors or singers. I read all of them back to back, so in my mind they have all melded together. I know that I didn't really like Release the Stars. I think I was just so into that universe that I couldn't give it less than 5. This was not a 5-star. Nothing Heals Me Like You Do was definitely a 5-star. They have an age gap, and Justin, I remember her name. Justin was such a hot character. I loved her, and I loved their spice scenes. The spicy scenes were amazing. Sapphic Spice. The duet, again by Harper Bliss. They are singers. I remember that I thought it's Daisy Jones and the Six if neither Billy or Daisy were married and they were both women. Good while it lasted. I don't really remember it that much. I just know that I enjoyed it. The Losers duet. This is the first book. I have yet to read the second one because I can't bear for it to be finished. Wow. No white shoes will ever be as good as this one. The Spice? Oh my god. I remember the scenes vividly. I remember some scenes I was like, how did she come up with this? Manson Reed is perfect. Just perfect. This man said things that blew my mind. Ugh, I want all 4 of them. Vincent? I have a playlist in my phone dedicated to Vincent. I can go on and on and on about this. And speaking of going on and on, this is the All for the Game series by Norse. Why can I remember her last name? Salkovic? I'm wrong. I'm definitely wrong. I think the only book that is not here is the first one. I think I gave that one 4 stars. Or something like that. There hasn't been one day since I read this book series that I haven't thought about Neil and Andrew. You start reading this series thinking this is just a sport series. It's nothing that special. You end up being so addicted to it that you search everywhere for books similar to this one and you can't find them. These have my heart. The writing? Normal, nothing special. The audiobooks, nothing special. The story, addicted. I love nothing like I love this. I really, really want books to make me feel like that again. I read all 3 books in 2 days. Studying Drowning, again, one book that I need to read the second one of. I do really like the writing of Ava Reed. I love the fact that she always talks about essay and CSA in her books. I think that's very special. I remember that the atmosphere of this book was very special. It had that type of dark academia vibe, and the relationship between the 2 characters was good. I just don't know why I've never gone back to this book. I haven't thought about it. I haven't watched edits of it. I think it just was amazing while reading it, and then it just left my brain for some reason. Count Your Lucky Stars. Again, a sapphic romance that the spice, amazing. The relationship, amazing. Great. Oh, hold on. Okay, it's fine. This is the 3rd book in a series. I didn't read the second book because it was straight and I was in a sapphic mode. So I read the first book. Here it is, Written in the Stars. I'm gonna give this one 4.5. This is the first book, and Count Your Lucky Stars, as I said, was the 3rd book. I thought Written in the Stars was the best until I read this 3rd book, and I realized, oh, it can get better. I need to tell you, the spice in these books are the most realistic spice I've ever read in a book. It's so realistic. It's like she has written it based on something that has happened. Moving on, I'm trying to be faster about this because we have so much to go through. I don't want to keep you here for hours. Okay, let me put them in order. These are some books from... wait a minute. Okay, I have them in orders. These are 4 books from the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I read these not knowing really who Sarah J. Maas was. I don't know how to feel about this. I do agree with the fact that the things that Sarah J. Maas has done are very problematic. I don't really feel good supporting her. I don't know if from now on I will really read her books. I read this book series when I knew nothing about her, and I fell in love with these characters and with this story. It got me through so many hard days. It made me feel so many feelings. I don't really want to promote her, but first of all, I really need to read the last book. I didn't have the heart to read it, and I don't want to erase these books from my reading history because they were so meaningful for me. I hate it when writers that I love a book from them turn out being problematic. I don't know what to do about it. Again, as I said, I'm not American, so I'm not really aware of do and don'ts when talking about a problematic author. I'm just going to rank these books very fast and move on. The Assassin's Blade, I'm gonna rank I Needed Help. No. 4.5. I'm sorry. I wanted to bring it down, but I can't. I love this. God, I love the main character of this book series, and this one broke my heart. Air Fire is when I fell in love with this book series. Before that, I was like, why do people say this one is the best? Even better than ACOTAR, because I read ACOTAR before that. And I thought this was really not as good as that one. I read Air Fire and I realized I think SJM wrote her best in Throne of Glass, and that was it. I don't think she can ever do it as good as this. And yeah, 4.5 stars. Sorry. Wait, there should be another one. I'm sure I gave Queen of Shadows 5 stars too. There's no way. Oh, there, here. So Queen of Shadows, I'm gonna give... Can you feel my heart? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Reading Queen of Shadows was one of the only good moments of last year for me. I had a very bad year. I'm still having a very bad year, and reading Queen of Shadows was kind of what gave me hope and kept me alive. I'm so sorry. Tower of Dawn. Yeah, Tower of Dawn. I know a lot of people hate this one. I don't want to read it because of Chaol. I just love the location. It reminded me so much of my country and the location that we live in, the weather, the architecture. It was just so much like the Middle East, and I love that one. 4.5 stars. Empire of Storm. Can you feel my heart? I'm not going to expand on that. I'm sorry. I don't want to support her, but I love this book series. And if it helps, I have to tell you that I read this from library. I didn't really buy her books ever. I listened to it, so I never paid her, if it makes it any better. Here we go again. Sapphic Romance, It Has My Heart, Logan. Logan is one of the hottest queer women written ever. In my opinion, obviously. She's so my type. I still remember her in the bathroom. There's a scene. I can't even tell you what she was wearing. That's how much I remember this scene. It was amazing. When the Moon Hatched, I read this one in a very bad time. I just gave it 5 stars because I know it was so beloved, and I could see that the writing was really beautiful and the plot could become very amazing. I just didn't enjoy it that much. I think I wasn't ready to admit that I didn't love it as much as other people did. So I'm gonna put it in I Needed Help. Bright Young Women Has My Heart. As somebody who has spent years, I can't even tell you, I think 5 years maybe, listening to the true crime podcast, especially Morbid, and hearing so many cases, being on the serial killer and not the victims. This book was so different and so necessary because I think as a society, we get so infatuated with the crime that we forget the victims of the crime and what a future they were going to have if not for what happened to them. Beach read, as I told you, beach read, I loved it when I was reading it, never thought about it again. It was fine. I'm gonna put it in Good While It Lasted. Identical by Ellen Hopkins. I read this because it was being challenged to get banned in the US, and I heard Reads with Rachel talk about this. It was a very hard book to read. It was so heartbreaking. In the middle of it, I just wanted to stop because I couldn't take it anymore. It's written in verse, which I have never experienced that before. I don't want to say it was good while it lasted because it wasn't. 4.5 stars. I have heard after that again from Reads with Rachel that the representation was not really accurate, so be aware of that. Holiday romance, I needed help. I needed help so much. This is when I was in a very toxic relationship with my ex. It was Valentine's Day and we had one of the biggest fights ever. I was at home on Valentine's Day. I was sad, I was angry, and I read this book to make me feel better. So I really needed help. I laughed a lot with it, which helped me a lot, but I don't think I would have given it 5 stars now. I think that's where it should be. Oh god, I can't believe Killswitch is here. Come on. Can you feel my heart? I can't believe I'm giving a dark romance, especially one that's main character is Damon Torrance, 5 star, but I thought I would hate Damon Torrance based on the previous books in this series. I wasn't expecting loving this book so much. Okay. The Sixth Death of the Saint. I read this one because Carrie Can Read has said that it's very good, and it was. I could have read hundreds of pages of this story. It was 36 pages and it was touching, even in that amount of time. Can you feel my heart? Daisy Jones and the Six, Can You Feel My Heart? I've read this book so many times. I've watched the TV show so many times. Perfect. This story is just perfect. Here we have Within the Sanctuary of Wings, which is the last book in the... Oh my god. What was the series name? That's how much I don't remember it. I don't even remember this series name. I'm gonna put it in Good While It Lasted because seriously, it didn't really affect me that much. I just read it. The Memoirs of Lady Trent? I think that's what the series is called. And this is book 4 of... No, 5. Book 5. Yeah, that's 6. This is book 5 of that series. I might be totally wrong. Sorry, I don't remember anything. Thank you for listening. Good While It Lasted. I think I gave it 5 stars because of the fact that Julia Whelan narrated it and she wrote it. So this story has not stuck with me, but the writing was fine from what I remember. I do remember there were some chats between... Were they? Yeah, there were some chats between 2 narrators that are the characters of this book that are narrating a book that were very funny. I remember that about it. Alone with You in the Ether. Again, another book that I thought would stick with me for so long and it didn't. The ending ruined it for me. There were some pages of the ending that just ruined the story for me. Other than that, it was good. I'm gonna put it in Good While It Lasted because I loved it so much while reading it. Not so much after finishing it. From Sand and Ash. Oh my god, the saddest historical fiction book I've ever read. It was so hard to read. This is about a Jewish girl in the middle of World War II. And she was in love with a priest. It was so sad. I can't even talk about it. It was so sad. We have The Ballad of Never After. This is the second book in Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, and the only one I gave 5 stars, right? Right. The only one I gave 5 stars. I'm going to put it in Good While It Lasted. I didn't hate the last book, but I didn't love it enough for this series to become a part of my personality. It was fine, but I didn't enjoy it that much. Yerba Buena by Nina LeCoeur. If I'm saying that wrong, I am so sorry. I'm really sorry. I think I'm saying it wrong. Let me check. So I wasn't that far, but I'm not going to say it again because I wasn't that close either. So I just want to tell you that Nina Licker is my favorite author, if I had to pick one. She writes in a way that you feel like you're reading poetry, or I feel like I'm reading poetry. This is the way that I would write if I was an author, which I'm not, but I feel like she has written her books especially for me. And I love the feeling that they gave me, the sadness. It's every book that she writes, it's so bittersweet, and the sadness is deep, but there's hope in it, and I love that. I can say that about all of her books. I'm sure there's at least one more here, but I'm wrong. That's weird. I've never given any other Nina Licker books 5 stars. Wow, I was not expecting that. Apparently, I've given her books 4 stars. Weird. This one I have done before. A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. I'm putting it in Who Was She? I'm sorry, I know that Rebecca Ross has so many fans, and if you're one of those people, I understand. I do believe that her writing is beautiful. I think she writes good beginnings and then ruins the story in the second book. I remember hating the second book of this and being like, how is this the same author as the previous book? And it just tainted my experience. I don't like the first book now. Oh god, if I say this wrong, please forgive me. Sorry. The Inheritance of Orchidea Divina. 4.5 stars. Or Good Violet Lasted. I'm gonna put it in Good Violet Lasted because I love the atmosphere and the vibes of it. It has so many creepy forest vibes, but again, it left my brain after reading it. It was nice when I was reading it and gone when I wasn't. Babel by R.F. Kuang. What am I going to give this? I love the dark academia aspect of it. I love the writing. I love the magical system. 4.5 stars. Monday is Not Coming. 4.5 stars. This is not a fun read. This is such a sad read, and it breaks your heart, and it made me so anxious, but I think it was a very necessary story to tell. The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Yes, I read a Brandon Sanderson book. It's the only book I read from him. I wanted to read the second book immediately, and I couldn't. I started it and I was bored, and I thought I would do it later. Never done it. I'm gonna put it in 4.5 stars because he's very good at building magical systems and world building. He's amazing. His writing is nothing special. He has a very matter-of-fact type of writing, but the plot is worth it. Then we have The Invisible Life of Adele LaRue by Wee Schwab. I read this book twice. First, I read it translated, and then... Wait, where did I put it? Oh yeah. I'm gonna put it in Can You Feel My Heart? I love the premise of this book way more than I love the execution. She had a very interesting premise that could have done so many interesting and exciting things with it, but she decided to write a very slow, and that's actually the only thing I can say about it. A very slow story. And I love the slowness and I love the coziness. I like the characters. Well, the main character was not really that interesting, but I love the love interest, if you can call him that. Let's say I love the... I don't know what to call him. If you know, you know. I love Luke. Let's say that. I loved Luke. And I love the way they talked to each other. That was my favorite part of it. The way they bantered, that was great. Here we have The Hunger Games. Of course we do. First, I'm going to put the first book in 4.5 stars. I read this on vacation. We were in the mountains, and I read so many books while we go to the mountain village that we go to every year. And I read this for the first time last year. Again, Hunger Games was not a very big thing in my country. If you know how Iran's politic is, well, it's so similar to these books that it's creepy. I was reading it and I was like, I'm living in the Hunger Games. Oh god. Catching Fire is my favorite book in the trilogy. I wanted more from the last book. I gave that one 4 stars, and that's why it's not here. I wanted her to take things a little bit further and expand on some things, and she didn't, and that's her call. But that's why the last book is not here. Wavered. Emilia Hart. I've rated this book 5 stars. I wanted to DNF this book. How is it 5 stars? Who was she? It's not a bad book. The vibes are creepy, but it wasn't a 5-star book. Why did I? Oh, Good Bad Girl went with it. I didn't mean to put Good Bad Girl here. I don't remember this one. Oh, yeah, I remembered. Actually, it's at the right place. Who was she? Why did I give this book 5 stars? It's a 3-star book. Maybe 4 if I was feeling generous. I don't know why I gave it 5 stars. It was nothing memorable. It was mid. That's my opinion. Please don't be mad at me. Sorry. Okay, let me put Heartstopper in order. That's 2. This is 3. 4 was here too. Hold on. Where's 4? Oh, there. 4. I read Heartstopper in the middle of my exams, and it was such a great break in the middle of the whole chaos. I don't think I would give them 5 stars now. I think it's great that we see a gay romance, especially for teenagers who are the main audience of these books. It makes them discover their identity, and it shows a lot of struggles that teenagers, especially queer teenagers, go through, and I think it's amazing. I just needed help. I was really not okay. I personally wouldn't give it 5 stars. I think if I read it now, I would give it 4. Loveless, again, by Alice Oseman. I loved Loveless a lot. Why isn't it coming up? Yeah, 4.5 stars. This book had an asexual main character, a romantic main character, and I think even though we have been talking about the queer culture a lot, we usually don't talk about asexual, romantic people, and they deserve representation. This representation was great. It showed that platonic love is as important as romantic one, maybe even more important, and it showed a character that really wanted to have that connection with a partner. Then she realized that that was not going to happen for her, so she found it in her friends. She had such beautiful friendships with the people around her that filled her and made her accept who she was and how she was. So love that. The Rose Code by Kate Quinn is a historical fiction. It's World War II. It's about women of the war and how much they sacrificed and how hard they tried to keep it together, keep their families together, and help in the war. And usually when we hear about the heroes of that war, we hear about the men. Usually we look at women as the people who kept their homes together, which is true, they did, but they also helped with the war. There were a lot of women who were ready to sacrifice their lives to save innocent lives. This is about the women who worked on the codes and secret messages from Germany and tried to break it so that they had advantages in the war. We have I'm Glad My Mom Died. This is the first memoir I ever read. I'm not really a memoir girl, but I love this one. 4.5 stars. I'm really sad that she went through that. I was never an iCarly fan when I was a child. For some reason, it was dubbed and it was on when I was, I don't know, 10-year-old, but it was banned in my household when it came up. My grandmother, I was staying with my grandmother at that time, changed the channel and she was like, nope, you're not watching this. And I've never tried it after that. From the few moments of it that I saw, I loved her, and I was really sad to hear that she was so miserable while doing that. Okay, then she was gone by Lisa Jewell. Then she was gone. I don't remember anything. Oh. It came back. It suddenly hit. It came back. Okay. Yeah, that was a roller coaster. I remember that. I'm going to put it in Good While It Lasted. It was very tense while reading it. I was so stressed out. I haven't really, as you watched, thought about it ever since. It's not really one of my favorite thrillers, but it was great while reading it. None of this is true. The book we all read 2 years ago and had a lot of opinions about it. 4.5 stars. I would like a continuation of it. I don't mind it. It's fine the way it is, but I would like a continuation. Oh God. The Nightingale by Christine Hanna. Can you feel my heart? Can you feel my heart? Because you broke it. You shattered it. It doesn't exist. It was one of the most heartbreaking books I've ever read. I cried so much with this one. Again, World War II women. Christine Hanna, it just breaks your heart with everything that she writes. I want to read all of her books. My heart just can't take it. I'm just waiting for a time that the situation in my country is not so bad, and that while reading it, I feel like it's happening to me or it will happen tomorrow because it makes my anxiety just so, yeah. That was an experience. Oh God. Why do I have another Sergei Mass book here? I thought I was done with her. Okay, sorry. A Court of Wings and Ruin. Good While It Lasted. Cannot tell you what happened in this one. It was fine. I hadn't read many fantasy before, so I thought it was amazing. I've since realized that it wasn't that special. Her Name in the Sky. This is another sapphic book. It's not really a romance. It's about lesbian teenagers and Catholic guild. They're very religious and they're in a religious Catholic high school. They go through a lot because of that. They have to overcome the guilt and the judgment of their school and their friends and all the things that they believed in before they realized they were gay. Oh no, A Court of Mist and Fury is here too? Oh, 4.5 stars. I like this one better than. No, I'm going to put it next to A Court of Wings and Ruin, Good While It Lasted. Again, I read better fantasies after that. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I started reading her. I started reading all of her books after loving her most known ones. After reading again, I can see them here. Okay, let's rank all of her books. First, I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I'm gonna put it in 4.5 stars right now. Then I read Daisy Jones and the Six, which I previously ranked. Yeah, this one was Can You Feel My Heart? This is amazing. I love this one more than I love The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Then I read Malibu Rising. I'm gonna put this one again in wait. I lost it. Can You Feel My Heart? I know this is not the most popular one of hers, but I love the characters and I love the struggles of this one more than The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I saw myself in Nina, one of the main characters of Malibu Rising, and I love her family, their family dynamic. And I read this one. One True Loves again. This one was great. I'm gonna put it in 4.5 stars. This one is not in the same world as the other ones. This one is about a normal girl, not a celebrity. And I loved it. I love the concept of it. I love the message of it, that we can still love somebody, but outgrow them and find other loves. Other mature loves. Are we done with Taylor Jenkins Reid? Oh, apparently we are. I have also read her other one, Maybe Another Life. I think that's what it's called. If it's not here, then I've given it 4 stars because I love that one too. I thought I had given that one 5 stars too, but apparently not. This is Salt to the Sea. This is the first historical fiction I've ever read. I'm gonna put it in 4.5 stars. At the time of reading it, it broke my heart. I thought it was the saddest thing. Then I read The Nightingale and The Rose Gold, and I realized, oh, it gets worse. But this was my first. This is the YA, and it's about a sinking ship that's not really talked about that much, or at least as much as the Titanic. Here we have the manga Orange. This is volume 5, and this is, if this is 5, then this is 3. I'm not really a manga reader, but I love this one, especially the main character. I'm gonna put both of them in 4.5 stars because I do remember loving it so much, and I wanted to watch the anime after finishing it, but apparently it did not happen, so sometimes I lie. Hold still. Oh, there. Remember when I said I love Nina Liquor and I was so shocked that I didn't have other books over here? Here they are. Hold Still is my favorite Nina Liquor book. This is talking about when somebody that you love, especially when they're young, unalives themselves and how that affects other people's lives, and how hard it is to get past that and get past the guilt that you feel because you couldn't catch that and you couldn't help them. There's a part of this that the girl who has unalived herself left this letter, and I have that letter saved in my phone. I felt that so deeply. She's like, it's not a spoiler or anything. She's like, you're going to search for reasons. There was no reason. The sun just stopped shining for me. It was a very sad book. There's also hope in it. As I said, Nina Liquor always has a little bit of hope in the darkest part of her books, and she always shows how people can get out of the darkest parts of their lives. I'm gonna put it in Can You Feel My Heart? And the other one is We Are Okay. This is the first Nina Liquor book I read, and this is the most famous one. I think I'm gonna put it in 4.5 stars. I didn't love it as much as the other ones, but it is a very good introduction to Nina Liqueur and her writing style. This is again very sad, also hopeful, bittersweet. Come As You Are. This is a nonfiction book written by a doctor about women. And I can't really talk about it because it's YouTube. Please, if you're a woman, read this. Please read this. This is amazing. I was forever changed by the knowledge it gave me. It makes you understand your sexuality and the physical parts of it way better than you already do. Anybody needs to read this book. I think men should read this book too, but if you're a woman, you need to read it, please. It's in 4.5 stars. That's where it should be. Clockwork Angel, I Needed Help. Who was she? No, who was she? Cassandra Clare is just not for me. I know this is her best series, and I do agree that this is way better than other books of her. But she writes some tropes always. She always writes them in all of her books. They're just not for me. She irritates me, and I want to just punch the characters and be like, don't be so stupid. So who was she? And why did I give this 5 stars? Then we have My Dark Vanessa. Again, one of the darkest, saddest, most tragic books. You should really check the trigger warnings with this one. I didn't because I thought I knew what it was about and I thought I could handle it. It kind of got too much for me. I had to step away from it for a while, then get back, especially because of my past experiences. I really understand Vanessa, the character. So it's very, very dark and hard to read. So important. It's so touching. The writing is impeccable. It's perfect. It's just a perfect book. Again, Can You Feel My Heart? Most of the books that I put in this category are not the ones that can feel my heart, but the ones that broke it into a million pieces. Last night at the Telegraph Club. Again, this queer historical fiction tragedy breaks your heart. Can you feel my heart? Because of course I'm gonna put it there. Oh, hold on, I got excited. Wait. Remember when I told you that I don't really buy books? I bought this one because of how much I loved it. Isn't she beautiful? I never have physical copies of my book, but I have this one and I love it. And I've annotated it. This is the first time I've ever annotated a book. I love it. Okay, we have Love and Other Words. I'm gonna put this one also in Can You Feel My Heart? This is the blueprint of summer vacation. Childhood best friends to lovers. There are many copies of it, and I've tested some of them to have this feeling again. Nothing compares to this. This is amazing. The writing is very great. You can actually believe that the relationship that they're building, and you see them grow up together, and you watch their feelings go from platonic to romantic. Sometimes the whole friends to lover genre is really done very grossly, and you're like, ew, you were like siblings and now you like each other. I have this problem with The Summer I Turned Pretty. I know a lot of people love that one. I can't handle that one because, again, as I keep remembering, oh my god, you grew up as siblings. But this one did not have that. I could actually believe it, that their feelings evolved with them. And the main male character, Elliot, loved Macy. I could feel that love. I wanted to be loved like that. And he was so in love. It was perfect. It was just perfect. Finley Donovan is killing it. Is good while it lasts. Definitely, it's the perfect example of that. Reading it was fine, but it was just a fun in the moment and gone after reading it type. Hold on. I'm going to first deal with this, then that one. Wait, who was she? I don't understand why I gave 2 volumes of Spy Family 5 stars. I really don't get it because, again, I don't really like manga that much, and I at least love some action. This was nothing. Maybe it was fun in the moment. I don't remember. But who was she? Because Nami. Now we get into If We Were Villains. This book has a big chunk of my heart. I remember every scene in this one. After I finished it, I was so attached to the story that I texted my friend and I was like, do you have time? I read a book that I can't stop thinking about, and you need to know what it's about. She said yes. I spent 3 or 4 hours sending voice notes to her. I'm telling her every bit of the plot, and I was so excited about it that she bought the book. She doesn't read books. I don't think anybody can ever write a dark academia book like this. This was next level. Again, apparently if you're queer, I'm giving you 5 stars. Yes, I am. The Box in the Woods. Okay, this is the continuation in the whole Truly Devious series. This is not really related to the mystery of the main trilogy. I think I gave it 5 stars because I was missing the characters. Good while it lasted. It wasn't as good as the main trilogy. There's another book, I should really read that one too. Crooked Kingdom. Okay, let's do Six of Crows first. That's easier. Six of Crows I'm going to give 4.5 stars. As I told you, this is the first English fantasy I read, and it got me into reading English books, so that was amazing for me. I didn't know it was related to another trilogy, and so I was lost in the beginning. I couldn't understand anything, and I was like, are these words English? And my English is not as good as I thought. And that's why I don't understand. Then I realized, oh no, they are words related to the magical system. And I don't know because I haven't read the Grishaverse first trilogy. But it was fun. I liked the characters. I loved Casbreaker. I cannot believe he is 17. In my mind, he is not. In my mind, he's 27. I love that book. Crooked Kingdom. Can You Feel My Heart? When I read the last scenes of this book, again, I was not okay. Apparently, I haven't been okay for years because I wasn't really not okay. It was a very bad time in my country. What else is new? And we were moving, and I was packing my stuff up, and we had to move the next day. I was listening to the audiobook. I got to a part that something happened. It affected me so much that I was nauseous the rest of the day. And I had to keep reminding myself, this is not real, this is not real, this is not real. I've never been this affected by something happening in a book ever since or before that. I couldn't believe how much effect that book was having on me. I wasn't okay, I was just not. I'm gonna put it in Can You Feel My Heart because it was amazing, but really I needed help too. So, let me put this two in order. So we have The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing, book 2 and 3 in the. It's not called the Cruel Prince trilogy, the Folk of the Air trilogy, yeah. I read. I sound like a broken record. I read these books when something really horrific was going on in my country. Again, what else is new? We didn't have internet. They cut us off from the internet. The streets were. I can't really speak openly about it because I still live here, so I'm not really that free in my speech. But if you know, you know, and if you don't, anyways, I was reading this when everything was dark and a lot of people were dying. And this was the only thing that was keeping me sane. I wanted to reread this so many times after that to actually see what the series is and actually understand, do I really love this series or did I love it because it saved me? But from what I remember, I love it. I love the second one the most. A lot of people don't like the third book. I did. I just not as much as the second book. So the second book is going to Can You Feel My Heart, and the third book is 4.5 stars. A Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I read this one at the same time that I read the Folk of the Air trilogy. So remember the things I just said. The same things were going on with this one, and in some of the darkest days of my life and many people's lives, that we were all terrified and also hopeful for a while until our hopes got crushed again. It was the book that made me laugh, and it showed me that even in the darkest days, you can find something to have fun with, and it gave me hope. So again, I gave it 5 stars, but I do know that the book is good, and it was not just me. I think it's one of the best sci-fis that has been written. I would like to reread this one also. So 4.5 stars. North of Nowhere. Okay, one is one of the books that I read when I was 8 or 9. I was in my fantasy era. I loved reading Liz Kessler. This one was my favorite. When I finished reading it, I was so mind blown that I was like, Mom, I need to tell you something. You can't believe what just happened in my book. And my poor mom had to sit there and listen to me tell her the plot of a children's book. I reread it last year or 2 years ago because I wanted to see if I remembered it right. It was almost as good as I remember. I didn't love it, good while it lasted. It was nostalgic. Everything I never told you. I read this one translated. I do remember that. I just don't remember anything else. It was sad. So was I. I needed help again. Okay, we have 2 more left. Here we go. Down Among the Sticks and Bones. This is the second book in the Wayward Children series, which is a series of novellas about children who find different doors that take them to different magical realms. I love this. Oh my god, I love the premise of the series. I don't really love each book. I think I've given all of them 4 stars. I love the vibes because it reminds me of the first book I've ever read. So this is so nostalgic and fun for me. This one was the best in my opinion. They're twins and Jack is queer. You can see that I love queer characters. I'm gonna put it in 4.5 stars. Hold on, there. And last but definitely not the least, the first full-length novel I read from Ali Hazelwood. Problematic Summer Romance. I read it last month. I was shocked that I loved this. I thought I wouldn't, but I love this. I love Maya. I know some people have a problem with the age gap. I didn't. They have a big age gap, and I didn't care. They're fun. I understand Maya. I usually have a crush on women 15 years my senior. So I got her. I really understood the fact that she was pushing the point that she can make decisions for herself. And she understands the age gap and it's fine. And he was like, no, you're so much younger than me, which was right. But I love that she never gave up and she got what she wanted. And I had fun reading it and laughed a lot. I also cried. I did cry once. I don't think it was because of the book, it was because of my mental state. Because apparently I'm never okay. I'm gonna put it in again. 4.5 stars. We're done. Yeah, we're done. That was fun. And long. I didn't think I would talk for such long time. It's been hours. I feel like I've been sitting here for the whole day. If you're still here, thank you so much. I had so much fun talking to you. I thought I would be more nervous, but I think I handled it as well as I could. It was very fun. I want to do this for as long as I can, for as long as I'm alive. Fingers crossed. If you watched this, thank you so much. I hope I can see you in another video. I hope you're here. Please like the video if you want. If you want to comment anything, thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. See you in the next one.